Thank you, merci. After hearing the throne speech, if the Liberal government thinks that this is good enough to deal with the struggles that people are facing right now, then they are wrong. This is not good enough. What we're seeing is a lot of, again, pretty words, but not any concrete actions. We just got through a campaign where people told us that they can't afford the medication. Millions of Canadians are making difficult choices to cut their pills in half or to skip taking the medication they need to stay healthy. We know that so many Canadians cannot find a place to call home. And young people are worried about the future of our planet. There is a climate crisis going on. Indigenous people continue to face injustice, and this government is taking Indigenous kids to court. What do we see in this throne speech? They said the word national pharmacare, but they didn't commit to their own report, which says it should be public and single payer and universal. No commitment there. They talked about housing, but they're going to continue to do what they're doing. Continue to do what they're doing means spending 19% less as a portion of GDP than the Conservatives before them. They talk about reconciliation, but they have not mentioned stopping taking Indigenous kids to court. And with the climate crisis, we need concrete action. We need science-based targets with accountability to meet those targets, and also ending fossil fuel subsidies. We've not seen that type of action. Instead, again, we're just seeing the nice words and a signal that they're willing to talk to us. And yes, we're willing to talk, but after seeing that throne speech, we need to talk, because it's not good enough. We need some firmer commitments. We need some real action to tackle the urgent problems that people are facing. Not just saying the right words, but following it up with more details. Donc, dans ce discours, le discours du trône, c'est clair que ce n'est pas suffisant pour régler les problèmes que les gens font face. En matière de crise climatique, encore des belles promesses, mais sans des actions concrètes, sans des cibles audacieuses, des cibles basées sur la science. Pour la communauté autochtone, ils continuent de poursuivre les enfants autochtones. Pour la science médicament, quelque chose qui est tellement important, ils ont dit le mot, mais sans avoir accepté leur même rapport qui disent que ça doit être public et universel. C'est quelque chose qui va vraiment aider le monde. En fait, avec les soins dentaires, ils parlent de soins dentaires, c'est quelque chose qui est positif, mais ils ont dit que c'est le travail du gouvernement, non pas du gouvernement, le travail du Parlement de l'explorer. Ce n'est pas suffisant. Donc, on est prêt de travailler ensemble, on veut travailler ensemble, mais ce qu'ils ont proposé jusqu'à maintenant, ce n'est pas suffisant. Donc à ce moment, on va dire que ce n'est pas suffisant, ce n'est pas assez pour les gens. On est prêt d'avoir des conversations, je veux avoir des conversations pour améliorer les promesses, pour avoir plus de détails, mais à ce moment, ce n'est pas suffisant. Yes, absolutely. At this point in time, we are not satisfied with what we're hearing. But our goal, as always, is not to tear down government. I don't want to seek ways to put us back into election, but I want to seek ways to make this government work for people. And right now, this is not what people need. People need real commitments. These are real crises that people are faced with. And what they're offering is not proportional to the seriousness of the problems that people are going through. We need real action on housing, on healthcare, on fighting the climate crisis, justice for Indigenous people. That's not what we heard in the throne speech.
On reconciliation.
Donc, un exemple que je peux donner, c'est quand ils ont parlé d'un élément prioritaire comme leur réduction des taxes pour les classes moyennes. Ils ont donné les détails avec les chiffres, avec un plan, avec une date, parce que c'est un enjeu prioritaire. Et pour les autres engagements, aucun détail. Ça me montre qu'ils ne sont pas sérieux de faire le travail. Mais je suis ouvert quand même. Si le gouvernement montre qu'ils ont apprécié que c'est un gouvernement minoritaire, ils sont prêts de faire des actions concrètes, je veux avoir des conversations, de s'assurer qu'ils ont prêt de faire quelque chose de nouveau. Et ce qu'ils ont proposé, c'est exactement ce qu'ils ont dit pendant la campagne, avec peut-être une petite différence avec les soins dentaires.
On reconciliation.
But you say that the Liberals are just proposing the same thing that they did before and that they aren't listening. What makes you think that they're going to change their mind and change their mandate that's in this throne speech? And are you optimistic that even with these conversations that the Liberals will move and compromise?
Well, I hope they will, because this is not good enough. And I want to make it really clear. I want government to work. I want government to work for people. And I want to solve the problems that people have told me about. And I think we can do that. But with this throne speech, it does not give me the confidence. On the things that are so important to Canadians, they don't have any details. They have one line on national pharmacare. It sounds like they're moving backwards. They don't commit it to being universal. They don't commit to their own report. So this is problematic. It's not showing a real commitment to dealing with something that Canadians, by and large, believe is necessary. We're the only country in the world that has a universal health care that doesn't also have a pharmacare program. We need it to be real and concrete. And I'm hopeful the government understands that this is not status quo. This is a minority government. If they want our support, they've got to work for it.
On reconciliation, there's a strong focus in the throne speech on that very topic. Why, in your assessment, is that not sufficient?
Well, again, the commitments aren't concrete. And one of the concrete things they can do right now, to me, I mean, if you take a step back, you can talk about reconciliation, but if you're taking Indigenous kids to court, when a tribunal, a human rights tribunal has found that Indigenous kids were discriminated against willfully, negligently, and it's caused the deaths of Indigenous kids, to me it doesn't show a real commitment to tackling the injustice against Indigenous people if they're still taking them to court. So that's one concrete thing which I wanted to see, I've been calling for, and I'm still hopeful the government has time to stop taking those kids to court. I want that to happen.
Vous voulez des amendements avec des précisions, lesquels, sur quel sujet?
Donc, beaucoup de sujets, j'ai mentionné avec la science médicaments, je veux voir, premièrement, quelque chose qui est tellement facile, que le gouvernement accepte leur propre rapport qui disent que la façon de le faire, c'est public, universel, et quelque chose qui va aider tout le monde. Donc ça, c'est un élément. Quand on parle de logement, quand on parle de la crise climatique, pour la crise climatique, je veux voir des cibles plus audacieuses, des cibles basées sur la science, et les cibles avec une façon de s'assurer que le gouvernement ne manque pas les cibles chaque fois. Donc un mécanisme de forcer le gouvernement de faire le travail. Donc il y a plusieurs choses qu'on veut voir, mais on est toujours ouvert. On veut travailler avec le gouvernement. Je veux voir des actions concrètes, des propos détaillés. Et ce qu'ils ont livré, c'est un contraste avec leur enjeu prioritaire, beaucoup de détails. Avec les engagements qui ne sont pas prioritaires, des commentaires vagues. Ce n'est pas suffisant.
Can we just finish on this question? Je veux juste, donc, ce que vous dites, c'est s'il n'y a pas ces amendements-là, vous allez voter contre.
Ce que je veux dire, c'est je ne suis pas satisfait de ce que j'ai entendu dire. Et je suis prêt de travailler ensemble. Je suis prêt de travailler ensemble, mais je veux voir des engagements plus concrets, plus détaillés, et je n'ai pas vu ça dans ce discours de
But ultimately, you want to vote for this speech. Is that not, like, that seems to be the message between the lines?
No, not at all.
And then you vote for it.
Not at all. I don't want to be taken for granted. I think that this throne speech is trying to take us for granted. Just trying to assume that you could say the right words without any real commitments and somehow assume that we're going to follow through. No. If there's not real action on these things, we don't want to hear words just for the sake of the words. We want to see some commitments that actually show that they're really going to do this. I'll give you an example. When they talk about the middle class tax cut, they've got dates, they've got money. That's a detailed promise. When they talk about national pharmacare, it's actually less than they mentioned before. It's not universal. They haven't accepted their own report. I'm not saying they have to have a 15-point plan and lay it all in detail, but they've got to, at the minimum, what I've asked the Prime Minister to do is publicly accept his own report. The Dr. Hoskins report states clearly that a universal pharmacare should be public and single payer. I'm asking the government to accept their own report. They didn't accept their own report in this throne speech. That to me is problematic. How can we have confidence that this government really wants to move ahead with it if they're not accepting their own report?
Mais vous êtes au Parlement, il y a une procédure. Le discours du trône a été déposé, il peut être amendé, mais après ça, il y a un vote qui est sur le document qui est là. Donc, vous voulez des amendements au discours du trône.
Donc, ce que je veux voir,
Mais c'est ça la procédure.
c'est un élément pas des belles paroles, mais des actions concrètes.
Non, mais on a compris,
Ce qu'ils ont fait dans ce discours, c'est des belles promesses. Mais si je peux parler avec M. Trudeau, si je peux avoir une confiance, des engagements de faire plus que ça, je suis prêt de travailler ensemble. Mais sans avoir des engagements, sans avoir des propos publiquement où ils disent que je suis pour, où le Premier ministre dit qu'il accepte le rapport de le Dr. Hoskins, ça c'est un élément que je veux voir.
Donc,
Je veux voir un acceptement, je veux voir qu'il accepte le rapport qu'ils ont fait eux-mêmes. Je veux voir des éléments concrets, je veux voir des actions concrètes, je veux voir des engagements concrets. Ce qu'on a voir, ce moment, c'est seulement des paroles sans avoir des actions.
If the speech goes as is, you're voting yes.
As is, it's not good enough. So I want to see.
So you're voting yes. So you're going to talk no.
At this point, I've very clearly not closed the door. So if you're trying to get me to close the door is not closed. But I'm not happy. I'm trying to communicate very clearly. I am not happy with this throne speech.
It's just that
And
that's
what I'm
unclear.
looking for is something more than this. And I'm not limiting what that is. I'm not saying it has to be one thing or another.
So you might
but I
vote
want
for
it.
the speech, but you want
I
more.
want the Prime Minister to understand that he's not just going to get our support by putting out the words that we've said without actually making it a real commitment.
But are you asking for
and what
amendments?
he's
Or are
done,
you asking for
and what he's
verbal
done,
engagements to do what you're asking?
and what he's
We
done,
want to know.
and what he's done is not good enough.
Okay,
And
now
so I'm
I
saying to
agree.
him, hey, Mr. Prime Minister, let's chat, because this is not good enough. I want to see something more clear. And I've told you what I want to see. Let's see a real commitment to universal pharmacy that's public and single payer. That's what I want to see. You can
Where
write
do you
that.
want to see that?
You can write that down.
Where would you like to see that?
Write that down.
Where?
Universal, publicly delivered,
No.
single payer pharmacy.
Mr.
That's what I want to see.
Non, mais c'est pas ça, monsieur. C'est-
That's what I
Est-ce
want
que
to
vous
see.
voulez un engagement verbal?
Will your support?
Will you put your ideas forward in an amendment, or are you asking them to just change the speech on their own? That's all we want to know.
So, I'm saying that I'm not limiting the way they can do this. I want to
But you
see.
can do it.
I want to
You
see
can
some
just
more
do an
concrete. I want to see some more concrete action on these things. There's a host of ways to do
So
that.
they could tweet it and
What
it'll be
I'm
fine.
open to conversations to make this happen, but right now it's not good enough. And I'm
Will your
open to ways
support
to
for
do
the speech
it.
then hand out conversation?
I'm open to working together with this government, but at this point it's just not good enough.
Are you looking to speak with Trudeau like tonight or something, and then your party will decide whether to support speech based on that conversation?
Well, we know that the vote on the throne speech won't happen until later on. It won't happen until probably into January. There's time to have conversations. And there's times for lots of things to happen. There's times for bills to come forward. There's time for commitment. This is a minority government. Lots can happen. I don't want to limit what the Prime Minister can do or not do, but I want to put out some clear markers. Unless I see some real commitments that will actually make people's lives better, then I'm not going to support this. But I'm open. I think that there's options. I think there's lots of ways to do that. There is unlimited ways to do that. Of course, there's amendments we can do. Of course, there's laws that can be proposed. There's legislation we can propose. I want to see a willingness to deliver on these things. And what I've seen so far is not good enough. And I'm not delineating exactly what needs to happen, but something has to happen because it's not good enough as it is.
Last question, dernière question.
So on the United Nations Declaration, there seems to be some openness. The campaign showed that the Prime Minister promised to do it. I don't want the promise again to be a watered-down version. I want it to be something that's got teeth. I look at the United Nations Declaration that's been put in place in BC, which is a model of how it can be done. I want to see something that's concrete with a real teeth that really commits to the principles of putting Indigenous people first.
Mr.
Thank you
Singh,
so
one
much.
last question about Alberta. Mr. Singh.